Hi, I'm Nathan and welcome back to Ninja Monkey, the place for all things related to Japan. I do the research so that you don't have to, and I put all the readily available information into one place. So if you're a potential tourist or just wanting to travel to Japan, don't miss an update by hitting the like button and subscribing so you don't miss a thing. This one is going to be a little bit of a different style of a video. As you can see, I'm outdoors and hopefully you'll learn a lot about me too. No, it's not an update this time, but I thought I'd walk you through my experience of being approached and interviewed for Japanese TV channel TV Asahi. And yep, I ended up on Japanese TV, and I hope that my voice as a tourist unable to enter Japan was heard by those who watched. I'll leave the full video in a link for those who might want to watch and check it out. Oh boy, it's bright. So actually, how did it all start? I actually received an email with a subject saying, inquiry from a Japanese TV station. They were asking to see if I could actually help find a potential tourist or a tourist that was entering as part of the new group tours on the 10th of June. Mind you, this was actually the day before, so unfortunately I did actually ask my audience, I asked you, and as we know, nobody was going, and I replied saying that unfortunately I couldn't help. But if there was any other way that I could assist, that I'd be more than happy to do so. The following day, 7 a.m. in the morning, I received an email saying, hey, we would like you to be on the show. We'd like to set up a Zoom interview with you, if that's okay, with a list of questions, which I'll get into because actually I'll answer all the questions because some of them didn't actually come out on TV. And I hope that I was able to represent that individual tourists that can't make it into Japan yet. Let me know if you think I answered the questions okay anyway. I quickly scrammed to try to answer all the questions as best as I could. And I think I did an okay job. I was honest and those questions got approved pretty quickly. I received an email back that it was fine, that it would be translated and given to the director of the show. I did this because I've never actually been on Japanese TV, and I thought that it would probably be best and polite to show them, you know, the way that I would be answering the questions. Although when I actually answered the questions on screen, they were completely unscripted. They basically went more or less along the lines of what I answered, if that makes any sense. And after quick introductions and greetings with the interviewer, a very kind and nice lady, by the way, who was patient and always helpful and incredibly interested in what I had to say, she actually was at the same time receiving questions from the producer via a headpiece. In fact, I was asked if I could wear my bandana, which I was more than happy to do so. But I don't think I feel very confident doing it in public. I'm actually in a public space right now. This is the first for me, so I think I deserve a like just for doing this outdoors. So as to the questions, I'll also go through how I more or less answered each one, and I'd love to know how you would have answered these questions too. And if there was a specific question that caught your attention, then let me know in the comment section. This is actually a great opportunity to get to know me a little bit better too, by the way. Anyway, question number one was, how many times have you been to Japan? And my answer was basically, I've traveled in and out of Japan about 14 times since 2014, sometimes traveling 3 times a year, always for tourism, but I've also made some amazing friends along the way. I think that was my answer anyway. Number 2 was, when was your most recent visit? Actually a question that a lot of people ask me on my live streams. And actually my last visit was in New Year's celebration from the end of December 2019 to the very beginning of January 2020. And it was literally only a few months before the borders actually closed to tourism. So I'm quite lucky that I made it that time. Then the question, have you been able to travel to Japan since COVID-19 restrictions started? And obviously it's been impossible to travel to Japan, as all of you already know, through COVID-19, and therefore I have been unable to do so, even though I very much wanted to. Japan will resume accepting foreign tourists on June the 10th. Actually, this was the day before the June the 10th sort of group tourism restarts for Japan. And the question was, what do you think? Are you looking forward to it? So my answer was, I feel that it is a missed opportunity for Japan to attract more tourists and therefore more money, helping the economy. Hopefully group tourism will only happen for a short period of time. I also feel that it might actually impact on the reputation of tourism into Japan. Having what seems to be quite a controlled tourism experience with a tour guide is completely different to the way that the majority of the world is starting to experience tourism. And the fact that Japanese people can travel in and out of Japan freely and return without any issues is seen by many foreigners as unfair too. And there are even some people who compare this whole tourism or group tourism to Japan, they compare it to North Korean controlled tourism too. They asked me if I plan on returning to Japan, and obviously my answer was if I can somehow enter Japan for tourism during my free time in the summer, I would more than love to continue exploring the beautiful country that is Japan. For those of you who don't know, I'm a teacher and I only have limited times when I can actually travel. I need to follow the academic calendar, so I'm limited in that respect. Another question that was asked is, are there any problems in coming to Japan? And what do you think about the fact that it's still limited to guided group tours? I answered by stating that when group tourism restarts, people will only be able to enter if they're sponsored by a group tour organization, something that we already know obviously on this channel. And that these guided tour groups might be great for some types of travelers who might be reluctant to travel on their own, but at the same time, group tourism can also be very limited. Do tourists need babysitters? Once again, I compared it to North Korean style tourism because that sort of came to mind. And as I said earlier, I also try to sell this idea that this is a missed opportunity not only for the country's reputation in being one of the major tourism hotspots in the world, but also to get people spending money, as a yen is quite weak and a lot of foreigners will likely spend a lot more than usual. They also asked me what are Ninja Monkey's activities and for what purpose am I sharing information about tourism to Japan. So this one's a really interesting one if you're new to the channel. It might give you a little bit of insight of who I am and what I do. So although I'm a teacher here in my country in Gibraltar in Europe, I did fall in love with Japan in 2014, and I feel that a lot of foreign tourists only mainly visit the more popular hotspots like Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, Nara, etc. And there's so much to Japan beyond these amazing spots, I wanted to share it with the world. I started my YouTube channel trying to show my experiences, and when the borders closed, I shifted to informing people about the border situation in Japan and when they could expect to actually enter finally. So that's basically what I've been doing. And obviously, I looked very much forward to returning and continuing my adventure and sharing some of Japan's unseen or less known spots. And this question is also quite interesting, I thought. I was asked what kind of people visit Ninja Monkey's YouTube channel or website. And for those of you who watch, actually the majority of the people who watch my YouTube content are people who are potential tourists or returning tourists who have been waiting to enter Japan, very similar to me because the borders are closed. And I also have viewers who are finding it hard to meet their partners because they're not engaged and therefore they've been apart from those loved ones. I have viewers from all around the world, mainly the USA, Europe, Australia, Singapore and India, and even from Japan too. I also, as you probably know, create live content, and if you haven't joined one of my live streams, then please do so. And sometimes I'm really surprised to see how many people from all around are viewing. Obviously, Japan is very much loved by everyone, and I hope some viewers will check me out and say hello. That's sort of more or less what I said anyway. So this one's a big one. It's a little bit difficult to answer actually, because I was asked, what is your viewers' reaction to the reopening of Japan to foreign tourists? And like I said, difficult to answer because I don't think I can speak for everyone. However, I feel that the majority of viewers actually don't see this as a reopening because it's only open to a small group of tourists that are willing to go on very strict guided tour groups. And obviously, I feel that people are mostly happy because this is one small step, perhaps a small step in the eventual reopening of the country. But at the same time, some audience members, I think, feel that Japan is being too selective with who can actually enter the country. And I believe that the biggest positive reaction will be once Japan allows independent travelers to enter the country. That's more or less what I said in a nutshell anyway. So I was also asked, what do you think Japan should do to attract more people to come to Japan? And obviously, the thing that I said was Japan needs to allow all groups of people to access the country. I agree that we are living in the age of COVID and that some rules might need to apply, such as mask wearing in certain situations. However, Japan's tourism image has been slightly tarnished, I feel. As a result of the strong restrictions, many tourists have changed destinations and are now visiting neighboring South Korea or even other countries nearby. Are you one of those, by the way? Have you changed your destination? I love this question because I love talking about Japan. But What is my favorite spot in Japan? It's very difficult for me to answer. Basically, I cannot choose only one. I think there are multiple. So I always like to say that I love the extreme north and the extreme south. I love Hokkaido, which is incredibly beautiful, especially in the summertime, and Yakushima Island in Kagoshima Prefecture. That could potentially be one of the most spectacular trips I ever took. I do, however, think that it's difficult to be disappointed wherever you go in Japan. Japanese people have always been kind, welcoming to me, and I hope that this continues in a post-COVID age. I do, however, worry that I might be treated differently when I do return because I am a foreigner, but I've got all the confidence in the world that this will be the case. So team, I want to be completely transparent, and along with these set questions, the producer did ask me to repeat certain things slightly differently. Although not really changing the tone or the meaning of what I was trying to convey, I didn't really have a problem doing so. I was also asked to be honest, and if I needed to be harsh, to do so, which is actually why I compared the group tours to North Korean style tours, which is something that a lot of people have mentioned in Discord and on live streams, etc. And I was totally caught by surprise when I was asked to direct a message to the government of Japan. And I cannot really remember exactly what I said, but I pleaded that individual tourism be let into the country, trusted to follow rules, and allowed to spend the money. What would you say to the government of Japan, by the way? I'd love to know if you were put on the spot. What would you have said, by the way? Anyway, team, let me know if you feel that my answers were representative of an individual tourist wanting to enter the country. I look forward to reading your thoughts on this one. Maybe not everyone's cup of tea or coffee, but at least you've learned a little bit more about me too. And as I always say, if you do like what I do and you want to support the channel financially, how about showing your appreciation by becoming part of the Patreon community or making a one-off donation using the YouTube Super Thanks feature. It's kind of like a super chat but for normal videos. And you can also make a one-off PayPal donation too. Also, if you don't want to help out financially, that's perfectly fine, by the way. Hitting the like button also helps, and reading your comments always makes making these videos worthwhile. Anyway team, thanks so much for watching all the way to the end. And if you're one of my viewers who watched all the way through to the end, then comment with a monkey or a banana emoji. Stay positive, back over negative. Till next time, I'll continue researching and keeping an eye on all the updates until the next video. So till then, arigatou gozaimasu, gracias, thanks, bye.